Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, world. It's another day and it's another time to talk about what truly matters in Nigeria. That is talking about the state of the Nigerian nation. And of course, it's this money. I personally am not a happy person because of these things that we've seen. And it's quite disturbing. By the way, good morning once again. Femi Ojo is my name. But then this is Morning Spring, the midweek edition. And today we are not going to rant, we are not going to complain, but we are going to speak truth to power. Yesterday the news came out that, schoolgirls, more than 25, were abducted. Until now, they haven't been returned. All we've been hearing is rhetoric and all of those things. But then, it's a matter of concern. Temitope is there, and I'm not sure. Possibly she is happy as well, especially from a female. This is where we are, Temitope. Good morning.
Good morning, Femi.
Right.
It really is a saddening morning, and it calls for sober reflection.
It does.
Right? When you talk about, it was yesterday we were just talking about how concerned parents will be when the children, and more so, for a woman.
Yeah.
Women are emotional, they'll show all of their emotions. Not that men are not emotional, but women, hardly have restraints when it comes to, things like that. And so that is why we always term the nation to be a motherland, who's to feel the burdens, the pains, the sorrow of our citizens. And that's why this morning is not so much of, a morning where we're shining teeth and all of that. Frank questions, real talk, stern conversations need to be had around these insecurity issues, because it almost looks like it's at a period where, people are, different quarters, even from outside the country, international, images now, from international faces, where we're having concerned talks about insecurity and the basis, right from the side. And now we have, a general being killed in cold blood. We have children being abducted. All of these things are beginning to be very, very annoying, irritating. When we have new service chiefs as well, we don't know what is happening. But today we'll be asking those questions that are uncomfortable to ask, questions that people do not want to ask. We have to just ask it here on the show. So right this morning, as a good morning too, but not so good for many reasons. So I'll say good morning, a sober morning this morning to you, the viewer. Thank you for joining us today on this particular show, this installment that is going to birth lots of questions. My name is Temitope Ajijola Oluwaola.
It is what it is, actually. And while the nation and everybody is asking questions, by the way, Mr. President said, the schoolgirls must be returned while he's manning with the Nigerian army and the general that was kidnapped and all of those things. We learned the VP has been, sent to Kebbi State to see the situation for himself and on behalf of the federal government of Nigeria, speak with the parents, the school, know the state of things and all of those things. We learned the Nigerian army boss, chief of army staff, he has gone to Kebbi State as well, given his boys, root them out and all of those things, wherever they are, wherever they are. And while all of those things was happening, some very better to be discountenanced and to be disregarded politicians were busy tear gassing themselves in Abuja, all in the name of who, is in charge at the secretariat, talking about the PDP leadership also, where some of those that were said to have been suspended, some Wike, Benue, former Benue governor, Otom, Aya, all of those persons, were laying claims, and they have in turn suspend these faction of the PDP led by the new chairman, that's Tanimu Kabiru Turaki, the Makinde faction of the party. So this faction has suspended these guys, these other guys have suspended these other ones. And
so
then
who was the headquarters?
Well, they, wanted to have me. They slated a meeting, NEC on this side for the same venue, the Wadata Plaza, yesterday. And so it became a fisticuff. Tear gas was freely used. And we even learned maybe some of these things hit Governor Seyi Makinde. You could see his face in all of those things where the gates was barricaded before the Makinde's camp came in, led by Bala Mohammed. Gates had to be broken. You see governance. Actually, some states, they are supposed to be executive governors of some states, shaking the gate and ordering. So it was this security detail against the other security detail that were inside. And the Nigerian police is being used against itself.
That's the point.
Actually, because I saw one officer pushing and holding to the neck, the jugular of another one, actually, and the instrument of the state, the agencies of the state, is being used by politicians against itself. And who pays these guys? The Nigerian people. While some parents are camping, in Maga, Danko Wasago local government, against whatever, that their girls will brought back. Some are struggling, for power, who we are the ones in charge here. And so after they gain the entry, many things happen. You would think it's possibly a James Bond movie or a Jet Li movie with karate flying all over the place, kicks. And some will say, and interestingly as well, sadly, this is what really matters to these people.
You said it yesterday.
Just to be in power. You can predict. Actually, whatever happens in Nigeria, maybe different angle, is always in rings, repeat. Rinse, wash, repeat. They do the same thing. And after some time, everything will calm down. The Nigerian people
will move on. I was going to start with that part where you said that the vice president, has been, designated to go to Kebbi State.
Yeah.
But my point is, when we have to have the president stand up to be our father, the president, we hardly find him there. I mean, immediately that's the Benue thing. I think it was Benue when the whole issue, was really hot.
Yeah.
It wasn't there, and the next time we'll see the president there, it was for. I'm sorry to say, but I'm not sorry to say it was for fanfare. I mean, when you had, it's terrible. So I'm going to talk about our presidency now, the president himself. I'm going to talk about the fact that this is not a time to designate. This is a time to stand up and be there to be the father. That is one. This is also a time where we bring back the Yerima Wike issue. And we saw a man, because we've been talking about it in different lights. This is where we saw a man, a uniformed man, who against all odds, against everything people stand to believe, stood his ground in integrity. He did not soil that uniform. There were other uniformed men there. I think they took their cue from the man called Yerima, a very young man at that. That's one. That's another point. Now we have a very terrible time in the country. A general was killed. It is a time for every arm of the military. I'm talking about the military, talking about the police, talking about every single uniformed man. This is a time to reflect, to be sad, to be solemn. But no, we had some people yesterday, the same yesterday. I mean, it's not like probably he was killed at the time, but the fact that you have somebody whose life was on the line, who was your colleague. I mean, we can't have a journalist now, being in that type of situation. And you find journalists, doing, I don't know how to even put it this morning, being of unruly behavior. But we have people, civilian, arm of the military, let me put it that way. We have the police who were there, turned against one another. I mean, you could not respect the uniforms you both were wearing. And we find differently way being used against one another. It's so terrible to watch. Very, very irritating.
Horrible.
Disgusting even.
Yeah.
We just need to ask questions. And that will bring us to asking the very, very difficult question that we began on the show during the Yerima Wike issue, that who exactly should be directing the military? Who should give these orders? I mean, when you have them around civilians, this one will give his own order. The other one will give account. I mean, it's just disgusting to watch.
I think it's a shame at this point. And
A blatant show of shame.
Leadership should do better, and I quite agree. This is the time for the president to be counted, actually, and we understand he will be traveling for the two meetings, actually, one in South Africa and the other one AU summit, and all of those things. And Nigerians will want to say what truly matter to us, what truly matter to him, and all of those things. And one of our issues is because sometimes as a people, we don't truly know what matters. Because why some are saying, oh, well, that means he has responded by sending his vice, that's number 2 to the place. Some will be telling you and say, is it the one that will carry the gun? What do you want him to do?
All right. So there's an analogy. Thank God we're in the age of analogies. Yesterday, our guest was giving an analogy with a baby. But now this is a family unit. It's much the same. Yeah. If you have a child hospitalized, you have a child who was just involved in an accident, you have a child who is just terribly ill, would you say, yes, I've designated my wife to go, do the duties, and I'm there to just go about my official. I mean, there's no excuse.
All right.
The president just needs to be the father he needs to be.
Yeah, he needs to stand to be counted. We take a break right now. When we return, we'll let you in on what the front pages of different papers in Nigeria look like. Stay with us. All right, let's start the newspaper segment from the same, some of these stories that are quite common to all the dailies. Daily Trust, Kebbi abduction, how bandits attacked our school students. Kebbi abduction, how bandits attacked our school. We learned a few of the students, were able to escape during the raid. All right, and you can see some of the abducted students given a name. Their names are there. Some of the abducted students: Klima Suleiman, Amina Umar, Rashida Muhammadu Dudu, Masuda Yakubu. These are, teenagers actually that has been whisked away by these blood-sucking criminals. All right, and below that, supporters of PDP factions clash at the party secretariat in Abuja yesterday, and you can see some of the insert of the picture. Some of these persons carrying clogs and clubs in their hand. The other place, you could see people's uncles and people's fathers at each other's necks. You would think it's UFC or kickboxing.
No.
This happened at the PDP secretariat yesterday.
When we talk about hypocrisy of our leaders, at this particular event, you have people carrying clubs. You do not need any other invitation to arrest these people.
Yeah.
So those security officials on ground there, what was their job exactly?
The same security officials that were attacking themselves?
What was their job exactly? No, that's what we are saying.
Yeah.
Where you leave your own job, you leave what you're meant to do, safeguarding lives, securing properties and all of that. Well, they will say that's securing of property anyway.
Yeah.
But safeguarding lives, which is supposed to be at the forefront, you left him. You saw people with clubs, with sticks, with whatever it is, and you're supporting.
And this is not the first time, actually. Because those guys that were there yesterday who barricaded that place were deployed from an order. The ones who came with those governors were all deployed to them as security details on order. So they were each other's neck, many uniform, many black, that would be paid by you and I at the end of the month, doing the works of politicians. All right, PDP, Turaki, Wike camps clash at Secretariat. And health workers strike paralyzes hospitals. These are the main issues. 44 lawmakers right to Tinubu seek Kano's release. Why I applied for immigration job, visually impaired man, and how battery recyclers are poisoning Nigerians. Federal government to introduce Steve Nope degree programs at $46.7 billion. Foreign reserves hit 7-year high. That will be all from the Daily Trust.
All right. Let's check out the phase of the Nation newspaper this morning. The Nation has this, the banner headline, Factions in Fierce Battle to Control PDP Headquarters. And the riders, police fire tear gas. Wike at hand to back Anyanwu group. Makinde, Bala on group, Utaraki camp. Anyanwu camp suspends 3 governors, others. And you can see tear gas right there. All right. Wike parted ways. Why I parted ways with Wike? That's according to Makinde. All right. And to the bottom strip, 44 House of Reps members ask President to order Nnamdi Kanu's release. That's on page 3 of that paper. And right there, it says here below the nameplate, Tinubu heads for South Africa, Angola to attend G20 Leaders Summit.
Right.
According to, G20 Leaders Summit, AU-EU meeting. That's on page 3. Abducted pupils. President sends Shetima to Kebbi. And right here, it's assault on education, says First Lady. Coerced to troops, step up rescue efforts. And down to the top strip of the paper, foreign reserves in 7-year high at $46.7 billion. GHL versus AMCAM. It says here, contempt in the face of the court. From Fortnite committal proceedings commence. And below that, Khan's Christians targeted killings claim 40. Khan's Christians targeted killings claim 40. And right here, SANS, that's SANs, XVC, others disagree. Those headlines coming through the Nation newspaper this morning.
Right, and looking at that paper, actually, you could see the smoke from the canisters of the tear gas. The cans that were fired there, looking at that paper. If you can have it up again. And I saw a colleague of ours, of course, from another station, reporting, because she had to do her job, actually. And she was coughing while she was reporting. Actually, it was as bad as that. What paper was that?
The Nation.
The Nation. Can we have the Nation up again? Through that smoke. Yeah, you could see that. Everywhere was tear gas. See the governors. The bottom strip, you have Bala Mohammed holding something, an handkerchief, towards his nose, and you could see the governor of Oyo State as well. That's Sheyi Makinde. Actually,
covering his eye,
holding his eyes because the tear gas hit him in the face. But then, not that he's special and he cannot be hit because they are part of the problem as well. And these are the issues. But my concern was for that reporter who had to do her job, but was coughing seriously. And while she was at it, right? The struggle, the pushing and all of those things came in. She had to run from that place. This is Abuja, not Gaza. Actually, not Donetsk in Ukraine.
Yeah.
It's a shame. Actually,
it is. But then it's also a call to better action, by, the management of journalists who are sent to, a crisis point, a place that could blow up anytime. So let's do better to always have
them protected.
Yes, our journalists out there. Please protect yourselves. It's very, very important. And as much as the jobs you're doing, that's what I said.
Give them the proper kit.
Exactly. Right. Yeah, it's very, very important. You know that things like that could blow up. Yes.
And Nigerian Tribune is next. Nigerian Tribune, PD, interesting headline here. PDP's day of tear gas and chaos. PDP's a day of tear gas and chaos. Makinde, Bala Mohammed, Wike, Anyanwu, others clash over Wadata Plaza. Day is about to break for a new PDP and for our democracy. Makinde, enough is enough. PDP does not belong to one person, Bala. New party leadership thanks Nigerians for supporting democracy. Interesting. And Wike-backed faction exposed to Rakim, Mohammed, Makinde, Bode, George, others. Dissolves Oyo, Ekiti, Bauchi, and Lagos Escos. Of course, the picture is there speaking for itself. And technology has ended the era of voter impersonation. INEC chairman. Really? A chairman? An only card could double one's risk of schizophrenia. Study, that's from the health saying, owning cards could double one's risk of schizophrenia. All right, okay, for the law, cat lovers, actually. Christians facing genocide in northern Nigeria, Middle Belt, can breaks silence as Christian Association of Nigeria and invoke your constitutional power for immediate release of Nnamdi Kanu, 44 Rems right to Noble. And at the top, again, ASU accuses federal government of non-readiness to meet demands, threatens a fresh nationwide strike. And KB school children's abduction, how my husband was killed, wife of slain VP. How my husband was killed, wife of slain VP. And UNICEF First Lady condemn attack, demands students release. All right. I guess it's beyond just demanding. Demand from who? I think you better demand from the state governor. From your husband, that's the First Lady. Be your husband, be the CEC, from the governor of Kebbi State, from the military hierarchy, actually, because I'm not sure if you are just going to demand, that they be brought back by the terrorist. I'm not sure it works that way. At this point, whatever is needed to be done should be done to have our girls back. All right, that will be all from the newspaper headlines. I will take a break. When we return, we'll speak to some of these issues, that are blowing up in our faces. We need to do better as a people. How do we do that? Stay with us.